The West slavery part in Sudan it started in 1983 to 2005. It was well organized. The Arab militia come with arms and donkey and camel, and they abducted South Sudanese for slavery. From 1983 to 2005, you can be talking over 100 to 200,000 people in the slavery.
Reports that came even from UN sources suggested that there were genocidal type situations, and that Christian communities in particular were targeted by the government in Khartoum. The government was an Islamic fundamentalist government waging openly jihad, and CSI felt that this should be a priority. So we simply went on actually several fact-finding visits throughout different parts of southern Sudan.
We are flying in the war zone of southern Sudan. Khartoum's Air Force would shoot us down if discovered. We are investigating unbelievable reports. Slave raiders of the government of Sudan seize thousands of black Christians on the Upper Nile and sell them as slaves in the Muslim north. This is Bonham Alval, a leader of the banned Sudanese opposition. He's our contact with the rebels. This is John Eibner of Christian Solidarity International. Last year he discovered a secret slave market in the remote borderlands between North and South. The pilot lands on the primitive bush strip, which is now in rebel hands.
Sudan government imposes Islamic law, Sharia law, against the Christian in South Sudan, and they took over also the wealth in South Sudan, the oil, and then they control everything and leave out the all South Sudanese people, not including the distribution of the wealth. The civil war was related to slavery because the Sudanese government armed Arab militia and Muslims from the north to come and raid and abduct people inside South Sudan. It was a strategy to fight the war. Even after the independence, the Arab masters and the Sudanese government, they didn't release the slave because they need them. The Sudanese government is in denial that there was no slavery in Sudan. So if they release them and they come out and the world see them,
أنا بيجان جاية سدا لا لوينت إيش لاقي لا با بكدين ما نالوي با أنا يتالوان war kenere antina kena la biwa wacho ya la biwa to ya la kat kwa gidana la bu kene ya ta kuma
ala biok tok tanin ko ya biok tanin lat ba ditin ke biok ba dina biok ne da biok ka wa biok tok ka na tatin da ru man dat ke ina na ko la an cha koi lu kan ya lo wa Sudan la biok ba din kan ya biok.
one cannot imagine how tough it is for these slaves to stay in the slavery. The workload was too heavy for them. They start working from the morning to the late evening, and those people were not even given good food, no good clothes, no payment. When you are in slavery, the first thing your name is changed. You are given the Muslim name and Arab name. You are asked to be a Muslim and to pray and go to the mosque. They cannot resist that. They cannot refuse that. They will be killed. You know that education can open up the mind of someone and you can ask some question. The slaves come back from the slavery. They have zero education. There is nothing that they can join the music, or they can sing, or they can just sit together and laugh. Any kind of entertainment was taken away from them.
At the moment, no new slaves are taken. The slave rates have been suspended. The jihad has been suspended. But those people who are enslaved, the women give birth. So many of these slaves now were not captured, but they were born into slavery.
One of the main ways of liberating the slave is exchanging the slave with cow medicine, which is something very valuable and they are desperately needed. I am heading to Will East County to liberate 150 slaves, drive like 2 hours, 3 hours to get where the slaves are stationed. When we liberate the slave and they come back, there is a community who accept them immediately, and they accept the full responsibility to help them to integrate into that community, and then help them also to go outside and looking for immediate family, and help them to give them piece of land, help them to give them farm, something that can help them to start a new life. We are going to distribute the goat. 150 goat, the goat will go and breed and have babies. You can get milk. You can sell out the goats and get money. All of them are she goat. We are going to give away.
Sorry, Louis, I'll be with us. I'll do it. Sorry, I'm you might get grandma like Tori and I look near God again. Now I have seen 3 patients, slave patients, with wound injuries. And according to the history, they told me that they were beaten some time back when they were still in northern Sudan, where they were slaves.
Alwad and her husband, they work in the farm together. She's the only one who is selling out the local wine. And that income, he tend them to buy goat. She has about 15 to 20 goat in her house. Coming back 40 years ago, and now having a house, having farm, having many goats, having 2 children, I think it's a successful history. Akwe is a very hard-working young man. He has a very nice house. He has a very good farm. He has a family, 3 children, and then also he has goats. Akwe is doing a business of charcoal, generating employment by giving local people, creating job for them in circle business. He's just helping the others, not only him and his family. The slave liberation in South Sudan is started by CSI in 1995.
Many of those with whom we spoke were freed by their families and by their communities because there were Arab traders, Arab cattlemen who had relationships, long-standing relationships with this Dinka community. And mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and grandparents would go to these Arabs and say, can you find my son? Can you find my daughter? Can you find my wife? And these people wanted to maintain good relations with the community, and they would go to the north, and they would be privy to certain information about who came on the slave raid, who was responsible, to know where to go and find those who were captured. And so they would go and pay some money, give some cows, give some goats to those that assisted in recovering their lost loved ones. So we found this in place and were asked by the local community to help support that system.
How many slaves were free in the 30 years? 160,000 slaves, roughly. We reached that number.
So CSI will continue to help the local community and liberate those who are enslaved as long as there are people still enslaved.